I am with Jennifer Strait, and many of you guys know that I've gotten politically involved in what's happening here in Sedona because there is, the global takeover, the great reset, the sustainability elements, the top-down federal government and or the globalist ideas around sustainability. They're pushing them through the local. Many things, including the degradation of the environment, and many people saw me work in the Amazon coming 16 years ago when I first started on YouTube, raising awareness about our ecosystem and our symbiotic relationship to that. And so we're just here to talk about what's going on planet Earth, what's going on locally. Jennifer has recently moved here from the Chicago area, so she is a Sedona resident. She saw some things, and she's going to tell you all about that. And she wanted to get involved politically, and she's gotten into the trenches. And then I wanted to interview her and all the people running for political office here in Sedona, and that opportunity is still available. Many of you saw my interview with Vice Mayor Scott Jablow a couple of weeks ago. It's on my YouTube channel, also with the ATV women. We've got big issues with affordable housing, rental, single-family homes being taken over by investment firms, but over 2,000 Airbnb holdings here that are investment firms. These aren't individual owning. This is turning hotels into residential neighborhoods into hotels. It's pushing people out. It's raising prices. There's many issues that we're dealing with here. And so Jennifer is going to tell you a little bit about her and what she's learned on her platform. I'd like to focus on the things that make life hospitable for planet Earth is air, water, and soil. So my mission is to raise human consciousness and change all systems. And my vision is clean air, water, soil, and equitable systems for all of mankind in my lifetime. And so Jennifer, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with politics and really where your heart and soul is at.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to connect with the audience and to talk about sustainability with the air, the water, the land, and the food source, and also, most importantly, community. So as Troy mentioned, I grew up in Chicago and I came by way of San Francisco. I'm getting my doctorate in transformative economics. And so when I came here, when I decided to leave California, my education's now online with COVID, that I came to Sedona and I fell in love. And, this is a truly sacred land where it just gets in you. So as soon as you're here, you start to get transformed. And I started to get really connected to the land and the air and the water and the food. And what ended up happening was I started seeing a lot of structural changes taking place with the politics here. So being a Christian, I asked myself, okay, how do I serve? How do I serve the people?
Structural challenges, can you explain that?
Yeah, so currently the city council is making a lot of structural changes. So whether it's our large park area and tearing down a few of the fields, which families enjoy and youth enjoy, and everyone, it's even like a dog park right now, right? And converting that into
all the Latin Americans play soccer there later on in the day. The dance community uses, and the exercise community uses. I watch who uses what fields, and you definitely don't want to take that away and make commercial space. But please, continue.
So that was one example, that just structurally changing it to an event space, and then even the schools, closing them down to make them into a co-op space. And so,
really, so let's slow down on that, because I know they ran a $90 million bond after the housing crisis in 2008 to build that middle school. I heard this.
Mm-hmm.
And also the high school is fairly new as well.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's like state of the art.
And both of them have been closed down. There he is. I got him. All right, we're going to bring on the Certified Health Nut audience because we're dealing with free speech issues here in the Holy Land. And so, okay, all right, there we go. All right, there we go. Thank you so much. This will bring in a large portion of my other audience. And so, Okay, guys, we're talking politics here in local Sedona. If you just joined us on the Certified Health Nut platform. And so Jennifer was explaining, do you remember where we were? Please carry on.
These structural changes. And so for me, when I take a look at what City Council is supposed to stand for, which is community development and city planning, I see in their plan that the whole trajectory is centered around money. The whole trajectory is centered around tourism and
So
event
that's
space.
tourism is not residents, right? They're serving another entity, a commercial entity, and people that do not live here.
Correct. And so for me, because I made the choice, last year I lived in a different city each month to see where it was that I wanted to live, and I was very choice with my decision. I would go to the churches there, I would go to the community spaces there, and I would really get in touch with the residents, and all beautiful locations. But here I really found like a lot of amazing people that I immediately felt at home. And so just understanding where the city council's priorities are, they've steered away from community. And you know, the breakdown in the fabric of society today is this thirst for only money and the greed of just taking over any sense of assembly with community. And it's breaking down the fabric of our society. It's too individualistic, and you know, our species is a social species. We are very communal and supportive, and this also includes beyond just humans. This is our non-humans. This is the animal and wildlife and the air and the water. Like, are we treating the water source and the food source and the air as a whole spirit, and honoring it and just nurturing it? And the answer is no. And so getting involved is my priority, and just getting acquainted to all the politics that take place in the system. And I use the word system because, you know, there's this system at play, which is the legal system and the policies, and they contradict the human nature. And I just see that it's breaking down. And so my question is to enter this space and to ask myself, okay, how can I be of service? How can I create that change and be a part of this movement and really bridge the gap during this time of transition between acknowledging and remembering who we are as a species and our collective coherence, and just coming together with what currently is, and having as easy as transition as possible, rather than, you know, a total breakdown, which that might be a possibility too. You know, life is doing what life is doing. It's out of Jennifer's hands. But you know, I'm here to be of service and to bring awareness to some of these meetings that I sit in on. And you know, these are topics that are surprising to me because you know, like, I'm familiar with Troy and our group of friends and our spheres that we are all in here in Sedona. And a lot of these conversations are commonplace, yet I enter these meetings where it's not commonplace. And so I'm a little struck as to navigating through these conversations of, well, we need to think about water and where does it come from, and well, it is important that we do have our own food, and actually it does comply with our community development plan, so why are we not adhering to it?
Yeah.
So they're not,
Because that's not really the plan, but go ahead.
yeah,
go
it's
ahead.
not the plan. So yeah, I also have come to great awareness to be reading this literature and understanding that when they say sustainable, or they say carbon emission, or they say, you know, health and community, these are all buzzwords that they use and they print, yet they are not being honored and embodied and actually implemented. And I present ideas, and as a research student, that's what I do. I take a look at prime examples of what other towns and cities are doing around the country as well as the world, and I look to them to say, here, it's already, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can utilize these ideas, and it's already proven, and we can make it our own here. So yeah, that's pretty much why I got involved, is these structural changes, and it's for future generations. I do intend to marry and have children here, and what does that future look like? And I'm of the ethos of how do we feed the baby today, which is, you know, how do we feed the baby today and not 5 years from now? So how do we build something today? How do we put people with jobs today and money? How do we make you know, things more longevity and last?
Schools.
schools.
My children got evicted out of a Sedona Unified School District building a year after we got here. They gave them 60 days. I drive by the building, it's still not being used right now, a year later. So a whole year,
Yeah.
they're in some church right now.
Oh, yeah. No, well, I just spoke with one of the teachers at that church, ironically, and she was saying that there was an accident that took place because the school wanted to put up a sign for the traffic, you know, the kids coming in and out and so forth, and the city actually denied that. And so when, and then
Who is the city?
the city council.
Who denied that?
She said the city council. So
Who are the people on the city council right now? What are their names? It's a public record.
No, I know. There's about like 7 of them. I haven't been formally introduced.
Do
to
these
all of
people
them.
have children?
Some of them do. It's not in their sphere right now they're older. So their life is not centered around school, the priority. It's left their reality, so to speak. Yeah.
So these are people, so they don't have children in school right now.
So I think they forget about.
Do they have a background in civics? Do they have a background in anything? Like, what's their background? Are these forward thinkers, or are these paper pusher, pencil pusher, paper pusher, toe the line? Are they visionaries, or are they just?
Their priority is money, and their priority is corporate.
So what's being done with the money? We got $50 million extra since 2020 revenue here. We got $50 million extra, right? This last year, I think they increased 76% or something like that.
Yeah, so now we're at 70 million.
Yeah, we're at 70 million per year. Like what, and that's tax money that we've taken in?
Yeah, bed tax, sales tax, yes.
So, and what is, this is a budget, or we give it back to the federal government, or what is this? This is a budget for the city. We have $75 million to spend each and every year.
Yeah, so it's,
So I'd like to define community. What is the definition of community? Because remember, Black's Law Dictionary is black magic, right? They use legalese to create unlawful situations. And so there's, I think, 1.9 codes in the penal code. So it's basically making white collar crime legal, and they also made corporations the same thing as a person, which is not true. And so we're seeing community and humanness being pushed away for the almighty dollar. And so, and I wanted to go to the 4 human needs, which is fire, food, shelter, and water. These are the 4 human needs. Everything else is a want. If you can build your lifestyle around that, you'll be much more simple. However, we've got a very complex commercial lifestyle that's been propagated through the media to get you into all these systems. The medical system, which is, it's not based in health, it's not based in healing. What she said, you know, their idea of health and sustainability is all to put this into a corporate entity, not real health. Health is not medicine. It's the opposite of that. In fact, medicine's the #1 killer on this planet, from adverse drug reactions from properly prescribed prescriptions, malpractice, and just hospital mistakes. So,
yeah, I had mentioned, I had put out the idea of creating a greenhouse here, and I got the feedback that it's too kumbaya, and it's a commune, and this is America, and it just...
This is America. We grow our own food.
Yeah, well, they want their food from a grocery store, and they want it trucked in, and they want...
Well, that's why you're fat and sick. I'm here to tell you, eating your commercial garbage is giving you your arthritis. It's giving you your bloodborne disease. It's making you more susceptible to coronavirus or whatever Omicron variant that they want to dream up and put letters and spells on you, right?
And that's the connection that I was having the conversation about, which is, you know, I hear the concerns of some of the demographic here, and they say, well, we want more doctors or hospitals or clinics. And I say, okay, I agree.
To prop up your poor choices. Go ahead.
And so I'm hearing them. And then I follow up by saying, but did you know the root of everything comes down to food and nutrition? And did you know that once food is trucked in, after 4 days, it loses its vitality once it's picked? And even if we get things from Arizona, it could take even 4 days to get here. So, you know, we're having less dense nutrition and vitality and minerals
Not
and
my
nutrients.
clients. My
Yeah.
clients, I'll take my
Yeah,
superfoods.
but these are the broader context conversations that are happening that is making me aware that not everyone is privy to what your audience or you or I are familiar with on how we treat our bodies and also the land. Yeah.
So this is human avarice showing up as poor choices and ignorance, plain ignorance. And this is what I teach. I teach basic knowledge. All knowledge is knowledge of self, and I teach basic knowledge: hydration, nutrition, sleep, movement, thinking patterns, breathing patterns. And we have tools to iron all that stuff out to help you become healthy and whole. And so, guys, if you have a tough comment in the box, you know, we got a potential politician on our hands right here. She's a forward thinker. She's a God-fearing woman. She wants to have kids. Her mind's tapped in, and she's getting into this political situation, and she's in the trenches. She's doing the work for all of us, right? So drop some comments in the box. Ask her one of those hard questions. Take the extra time to ask some hard questions. Curtis, can I get you in here and monitor the questions? Okay, so please just share a little bit more about your experience here, what you're running into with politics, your views about the future of a family for you, and I'll try and be quiet.
So, you know, another topic aside from the greenhouse and food forest is certain types of housing. So, you know, currently the thought process here is to continue traditional style housing, which costs, you know, on average $300,000 per unit to produce, and then we have the median sales price here of $800,000 to $1 million. And I just take a step back to say, okay, this is not sustainable on any level, whether it's economic or even heating and cooling. And so what would it look like if we had cob homes? Now, though, that construction costs between $10,000 to $50,000. And, you know, it was interesting, there was a program here that the city council was putting forward to offer first-time home buyers a down payment of $25,000 to purchase a home, which is a great intention, but the prerequisite for that is for the homeowner to receive a loan. And the question is, would they receive and be qualified for an $800,000 or $1 million loan? And the answer is no. So it really puts to stop their good intention program. And so I just said, okay, let's just look at numbers on the paper and realize that we can give someone an entire home for $25,000, and people can afford to take out that loan. And even moving forward, you know, these cob style homes, the exterior is the clay, and that's all resourced from locally here. And then the insulation is a bale of hay, and then the interior wall is also clay built as well. And this creates about 4 to 5 feet depth of insulation. So moving, in addition to the construction at the beginning being, you know, 10 to 50,000, we have those ongoing expenses like heating and the cooling drastically reduced. It's like an earth ship in that respect. And so I just take a look at pure economics. How much are we spending just constantly putting out the money, whether it's heating or cooling, even water collection, and just having these conversations and understanding where Arizona is with their aquifers. And so Arizona, we receive and every place is different, but we receive our water from the aquifers and the wells. And so for us, you know, once that's gone, that's gone. And so it really begs the question, how might we be able to supplement that? And one way that we can supplement it is through a different, an alternative construction, which is water collection on the roofs, and then being able to, you know, to supplement that and divide that between the aquifers and the wells, and then water collection. And when I have these conversations, it's like patting me on the head. They're like, okay, yeah, that's good, but it always starts with a but it doesn't go into policy, but it's not in the system. And yet I could still say the facts, like, but the water's running out, so we need to do something. And it doesn't matter. Everyone wants to feel comfortable with what is. No one wants to buck the system. And I'm not here to buck the system. What I am here to do is follow the thread of innovation, follow the thread of reality. And the reality is that the water is running lower. And so there is no system that's in place. The system is a figment of a reality. And that's, I can't, my alignment is not to adhere to a system that's a man-made design, and it keeps getting crafted and redesigned, and it's like a Band-Aid that just keeps getting reformulated. It's not sustainable, it's not realistic, and so I just show up in my power, I just show up in my alignment, and just knowing that I will continue to be guided in being supported with the right people and situations and viewers as a collective to bring awareness, and even more than awareness, we need change. We need change. So these conversations are incredible to bring awareness, spread awareness, because again, I go into these meetings, they are not aware. But more than that, we actually just need the power of change. And so that's the whole reason why I'm running, to be of service to myself and future generations.
And depending on what works out with the political structure, Jennifer has an open door policy to work with Certified Health Nut and create collaboration, because I'm a big believer in the power of media and shaping consciousness. I believe that that's how we got here, is through the social engineering and the propaganda, and the court of popular opinion. What do you guys think? Most people don't get political. They're upset with the systems because the systems don't seem to be running. I heard 1 in 16 employees in this nation are government employees. 1 in 16.
I believe it.
So that's pretty powerful, And I also heard from other influencers on Instagram, they said that the government has the money. So when they do like tourism photographs, and they go to Reno or they go to Pacific Northwest, they contact the mayors or the marketing team in the state of Nevada or whatever state that they're in, and they have budget allocation for advertising and marketing for their tourism. And so they said that government contracts, there's so much money in government, is what they were saying. And so maybe
we have about 194 city employees. Just in the
holy
city
fucking shit!
In a town that has about 8,000. So so the government here just keeps growing bigger and bigger. And
do they all live here?
The city staff pretty much does. And then we get into police and stuff, which the police can afford to live here. So when we take a look at essential workers like police and firemen and teachers, a lot of them can't afford to live here, which those are our first responders. So,
and here's the thing, it's not afford, right? The problem is these investment firms, part of the Global Reset, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, they're setting up, BlackRock and Vanguard are the trillion-dollar investment firms. They're coming in here. A lady died across the street. The house was sold in less than a month, and I heard they offered over $100,000 more than the house was worth. So there's not even any competition for regular worker bee family members here. And there's over 2,000 corporate holdings, and there's only 10,000 residents, maybe 8,000 homes here. And so, this whole idea of affordable doesn't even come to play, because there are corporate interests and a systematic land grab. So let's get in a little bit. What is the city's policy on 5G technology and making this into a smart city?
So currently, that is part of the trajectory. So
is 5G here now?
I did look at an active map of 5G, and it appears to be running. If people are familiar with Sedona, it's just a small little area, about 17 miles, and it's just got a main vein of 89A, and then a 179. So it looks like a T-bone. So along 89A, that small stretch, there is, which is owned by ADOT, so we don't own it, it's a federal highway, but there is 5G already implemented. Now, when we get into the outer skirts of the veins of the street, as it stretches from 89, those are city owned, and there is currently no 5G. Now, when we think about our rights, we don't have the right to the 89, and when we think about self-autonomous driving vehicles, I understand, ADOT has an interest in the 5G so that in the future.
When do they want to implement? She studied the future, and we're going to get into that in a second. But when is driverless cars? The next 5 years is my understanding.
Yeah, so when I took a look at the automotive industry and also the car rental industry, it's projected within two years' time, 3 years' time, that whole fleet will be transformed into self-autonomous driving vehicles. Because that was one of my arguments. They were going to build and they're going forward with it. But
are they going to be hypoallergenic cars, or are they going to be loaded with fragrance and they're trying to kill the stinky smell from all these dirty people and partiers that you smell in Airbnbs and Uber now? Like, I can't even ride in those things because of the contamination and how it affects my nervous system. So are these things going to be hypoallergenic that they're offering to the public?
That doesn't sound like a regulation that I foresee with an Uber or a Hertz or anything.
So these cars could actually be poisoning people, right? With 5G, electromagnetic radiation and pollution, as well as synthetic fragrancers, could be put into those vehicles, correct?
Well, yeah, when we take a look currently at, the car rental industries, how they go about sterilizing each of the vehicles between each car ride, we have to ask ourselves, well, what is the chemical that's being used, as a cleaning solvent within the car?
How does that affect the hormones? How does that affect pregnant women?
Yeah.
Is it birth defects?
Yeah, so we already know that the cleaning process is already being done, and it will continue to be done whether it's a manual car or a self-autonomous driving vehicle. Which is a concern. Chemicals, at the end of the day, one of the things I value about Troy is, his concern for whole foods, healthy foods, also natural products. And just the more that we get away from these synthetics, even the plastics of clothes, all these rayons and nylons, we're just wearing plastic.
I go to the thrift store and find the good stuff, baby.
Yeah. I come from a family that seamstresses and drapery makers, and so it's all about the fabric. It really is.
On that topic, Wayward Chief has a good question.
Yeah.
How and where can we learn to survive on the planet as our ancestors did? And is there any talk in Sedona of setting that up? I know we have the greenhouse project, right?
Well, so when we do think about survival, we think about, it starts with, Troy said it, food and water and shelter. So here I am trying to have these conversations and really put forward a plan about a greenhouse, and it gets really pushed aside. And so it's like, what do we do? We can't keep just having these conversations. And also, there's a huge disconnect between city council and entrepreneurship. And one reaction that I had from a community member was, they said, well, that's not up to city council, that's up to an entrepreneur. If an entrepreneur wants to purchase land and an entrepreneur wants to create a greenhouse or a food forest, that's what an entrepreneur needs to do. And my reaction is to say no. The point
Extra.
of a city council is to design a city. This is what we do, and we also implement a city plan, and this is how we collectively pool our resources as Commonwealth. So it's
What did you say, Commonwealth?
Not that, but sorry. So in regard to just trying to have these conversations, we're trying. I'm trying.
Yeah, it starts, awareness is the first step. You guys know that's how I work. That's how I work with clients. We become aware of where we're at in time and space and what's the potential that we can do, and then define each step of the way. Community means what? Is there people in the community? Do the businesses serve the people, or do the people serve the businesses? What is our end result or goal for the community? Is it for the children, or is it for the businesses? And is it for entrepreneurs, or is it for big business that has more power than you, like Airbnb writing the litigation and the legislation for the state of Arizona? Like, what is it that we're defining? Let's get very clear on each step of the way. the needs for the human. What does the community actually need? What is the definition of a community? Does a community have schools? Is there school children? What about the health of the children? What are our statistics? Mental health statistics are through the roof. Anxiety and depression, of course, but the suicide amongst men right now is through the roof. And so let's get our statistics and our results from Manifest Destiny community development projects. What are the results? You look in somewhere like a city like Los Angeles, they have homeless people all over the place. In San Francisco, homeless people all over the place. They've destroyed. So this commercialism and this city counseling has destroyed the fabric of humanity, of reality, right? I do not want to live in Venice Beach, California, with the crackheads running around with machetes in the street and stealing my children's bicycles and all that stuff. Like, we need to redesign above and beyond. And it's not about robbing Paul to pay Peter with petrodollars. There needs to be a redesign on these entrenched systems that were antiquated to begin with, or maybe helped us in the beginning of developing these cities, but now we are in a different position, and it's time to recapitulate or renege and dream up new ideas. Innovation is always here. I really like that word that you use, and I really like that you're studying the future of sustainability. I'm suspect on where you're getting your criteria and what corporations are feeding your curriculum into your school. I'm curious about that, because if it's the systems teaching new people to continue the systems, then that doesn't work. I have a lot of come from in the Amazon sustainability. There's 8 billion, maybe 10 billion people on the planet right now. We do need systems that are going to help us grow and satisfy all these people. So going back to 5G and the future of sustainability, where are you at as a Christian understanding the book of Revelation and the beast system that is attached to the 5G and the mRNA vaccine? Are you for pro-vaccinations, pro-masking up of the society here, or what's going on with that?
So, speaking for myself, I do not wear a mask. I'm not vaccinated. In regards to 5G.
From day one, your parents didn't vaccinate you?
Oh, well, as a baby, I had no control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your parents aren't Christian Science? Because Christian Science, they don't ixnay on the old medical industry.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, growing up, vaccines for school and stuff like that, but now myself as an adult, the answer is no. And when it comes
And what did you base your decision on? Did you read the ingredients, or did you do any kind of research?
Well, especially nowadays, I just hear too many adverse effects with it. I also believe in the health of the body, that there's a life force within us. The body is a smart, intelligent system, and that the more that I feed my body, I nourish it, my mind, body, and soul, that's a trifecta, the more that I'm in alignment, and I don't need the outer source. And so even when it comes to 5G, I return to, my foundation is sovereignty, my foundation is autonomy. And so the more that we strip people away from having their freedom and sovereignty, the more that someone else has more control over it. And to me, that is just the opposite of God. We each come here to live our full expression. And this means that we get to experience life, and that, we don't need a car driving for us. There's a difference between technology being a tool for us and convenience versus a technology that is of control. And so that's where I draw the line. And when I look at, even I take a standpoint from even a tourist perspective. A tourist coming in, a self-autonomous driving vehicle, they're limited to where their mobility is. So they're not going to be able to find those little trailheads or anything, because they're going to have to type in an address, but these little trailheads don't always have addresses. So
we don't have parking in front of those trailheads.
Okay, yeah, so parking is a whole different issue.
We don't have the infrastructure. We got the money, but we never built the infrastructure. And I am paying for the sewer to go out here, but there's hotels all around me called homes and Airbnb, which is nonsense. These are hotels right next to me with shouting tourists that don't respect the neighbors, that have children that are going to school the next day and they're partying 7 days a week. And I'm about to bust out my microphone, my megaphone, and there's a siren on there, and I'm just gonna talk some shit, right? Because I got free speech. But they don't even regulate it. And they flush the toilet, there's fucking 10 motherfuckers in there, and they flush the toilet 10 million times a day. What does that do? I gotta pay for it. What's up with that? I gotta pay for the infrastructure of all that, for all this tourism that's coming in. So it's not managed properly. And you are city managers. You are liaisons for the community. I'm here to tell you, you got a job to do and you ain't doing it. Why? Because my 60 and 70-year-old retirees that should be happier than a pig in shit are fucking miserable and hatred of the tourism, of the traffic, of the ATVs, the degradation of the environment, and what the city council's doing. But again, this is just complaining and not knowing what to do. But the amount of 70-year-old human beings that I have that are angry and miserable, it's mind-blowing to me. People are upset that the usurping of the natural resources and the pushing out of the family for this commercialism. People have had enough. And so, all right, I got off on that rant a little bit. Where were we, Curtis?
I was wondering personally, have you looked into what Arcosanti is doing? And
Come stand over here on camera, please.
Yeah.
Curtis.
I'm on the YouTube camera.
So this is Fearless Curtis.
Back again.
Assistant to CHN. He's always got super intelligent
Here.
stuff to say. So go ahead, rip that question,
Oh,
Curtis.
I was wondering if you had personally looked into what Arcosanti is doing, and is there anything we can bring over to Sedona that is working there?
Yeah, so some of those ideas I've tried to bring over, whether it's
For the viewers, what is Arcosanti?
What is Arcosanti?
yeah, so it's this development here in Arizona where you know it's really community driven. They have a very large hall. They put on theater performances. There's food. There's greenhouses. It's really self-sustaining. It's community forward, and you know this is the very the concepts that I bring here that the reaction that I get from some people, not all, is that it's a commune, it's to kumbaya, and that it's meant for the entrepreneur to do. And I just push back to say, well, at the end of the day, this sounds like a community center to me. You know, I presented the option for a community center, and my version was twofold. It was, well, actually threefold. One, it was a builder's cafe. So, you know, you can go there, and if you have some extra wood, you can build a table for the day. Also, repair cafe, which is really popular when I did research in Europe, to show that, you know, we don't have to be so you know, throwing everything away in user behavior. We can repair things. You know, obsolescence is the word.
Planned obsolescence
Yeah.
is the manufacturing terminology
Yeah.
for companies that make machines that break. Apple does the same thing. You gotta have certain plugins, and so you buy their new materials.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, when I look at Arcosanti and some other places just as similar, I just look at it and I go, this is a community center. This is just a food source. And also, I look deeper into the food garden because when I do research, when communities end up making it a priority to build a greenhouse or a food forest, they end up producing so much that the town becomes a food industry. So when I take a look at just the diversification that we can have here in Sedona or wherever you are viewing from your town or city, you know, here we're very tourist centered as a tourist industry. However, what would it look like if we had a degrowth model with that and we weren't so dependent on it? And we also had a diversification on our portfolio, and we were also a food industry. And, you know, this is just two cracking open possibilities for some people to just, it's just too much change, it's too much movement. And that's really where I see the resistance is you know, cognitive dissonance. You know, it's just too much change, which what I appreciate about you and your practices, it's movement, it's breath, it's centering, it's returning, embodiment, returning, so that we can always be aware of the right thing to do rather than getting capsized by our emotions running through the body, which is, as we know, it's old programming that the emotions take over. And so anytime that we have the opportunity to return to center, breathe into it, and to really say, you know what, okay, yeah, this may feel new, this may feel like change, I'm resisting it, but who is the I need to define the I. Oh, that I is the old programming. Okay, let me take in the new data, the new information, let me move forward. Okay, let me push through this uncomfortability. It's called the unknown. And then after a while, the unknown becomes the known. So,
But we're
yeah.
the good guys. We
Yeah,
want
yeah.
food for you.
I
We
know.
want nutritious food for you. We want clean water for you. We want renewable energy sources, not based in cap and trade fossil fuels.
Oh, that's a good question. One of the questions says, so with what water? Got to bring in the water. Thank you for bringing that question. So when we take a look at traditional agriculture, that takes so much water, and it's these large companies,
Unsustainable.
and who's practicing it is not the small farmer. It's these large industrial that have the millions of dollars to spend to dig a deeper well, and they're going like 774 feet is the largest that I was able to research recently. And
Shams has 800, by the way, just so you know.
oh, okay. Well, this might be outside of.
Yeah, he's in Bear Mountain, so that's outside the city.
Okay. So when we take a look at how do we answer the question with water, with the practice of a greenhouse, is that 70% less water is used with a greenhouse type practice with water. And then also let's take into consideration if we do different infrastructure of like rainwater collection, or take for instance
Which is illegal in some parts of the country, correct?
And why is it legal? Like, oh my gosh, this doesn't make sense.
Water? You're 70% water, guys. Newsflash. You need clean water.
Yeah. Or what was really innovative, what was really innovative that I saw was in the desert overseas, what they were able to do was create these, they look like tarps, so like tarp fences, what the construction looks like. And in the morning dew, when it collects on the tarp, then that morning dew is collected. So there's so many different things that we can be doing in innovation, and I just look at the water tables and these maps, and I just say, okay, people, what are we doing? And so this is, again, just my effort to really impart change from a structural design system.
And just again, Jennifer is here in Sedona. She is in the trenches with the politicians, working to get into politics and make change.
City council, she's running for city council. I'm interviewing as many people as we can, because what we're going to do is we're going to interview, and unlike the mainstream media, we're going to put this unedited out on the internet, and then I'm going to get all the good tidbits from all the other people and see where we're at, because the accountability and the responsibility, it just gets passed the buck. So everybody, I'm going to edit a nice piece, and we're going to pay for advertising too. So we're going to shape politics here in Sedona.
And Jennifer, what you're saying is that the water's here, but we're shipping it in from Colorado currently? That's our model?
Yeah, so, well, technically that water pact has been dissolved. So now Arizona and Nevada are no longer receiving water from the Colorado River. It's being directed to California, and this happened as of last year.
For industrial farming.
We are now operating off of our wells.
Oh, good.
Since when?
Last year.
So Phoenix is not getting Colorado River either?
They're not supposed to. Everything's being directed to California.
Have you seen any
We've
water
had a
tests?
water pact for a long time, but because of where the Colorado River is with its low levels, it was decided that California gets it due to two factors. One, its population, and secondly, they are a large producer of agriculture, which, as we just got done saying 5 minutes ago, that traditional style agriculture is not sustainable with not only the water usage, but also with the amount of, I believe it's like CO2 that it produces, that type of, just irrigation of the land and everything. It actually puts out CO2.
And here's the thing, guys. The giant shift is coming. It says it in the Hopi prophecy. Curtis is pulling the Hopi prophecy up now for me. Things are about to change. People are so domesticated. They're fattened up. They're living in their four walls. They're fed all this garbage, and 70% of the American people are obese or overweight. This is going to change. it's been written many times. The Book of Revelations has, you know, I want to get into the beast system a little bit.
Yeah, and I also want to return to your definition of community, because I was really fascinated by understanding community from the standpoint of, when we take a look at the individualistic Western system that we have, where it's so reliant on the system and products and everything, it really detaches us. And, you know, going back to our ancestors, when they lived in tribes, you know, they didn't have health insurance, they had food. They didn't have, you know, a retirement plan. They had community.
They had
to
real
take them in.
doctors called healers too,
Yeah.
that knew how to heal the person holistically. Sometimes you need a massage, sometimes you need some food, and sometimes you need a swift kick in the pants. And the shaman was always able to do that, rattling his drum, giving you some awareness, giving you some herbs or something like that, giving you a sweat lodge, right? Sweat those poisons out of you. So go ahead, more on the ancestral level
Yeah,
as well.
so-
I like your
Yeah, we didn't have all these systems in place. We had each other, and we relied on each other, and we loved one another, and there wasn't a competition. It was cooperation. And again, we didn't have retirement plans back then. We had something called community. We took care of one another. We didn't. So I just take a look at how detached we become, and in God's grace, you know, some of the things that are arising right now in the world is to be a beautiful reminder on how to come back together.
And that's what we're doing. So Curtis was trying to pull up the Hopi prophecy, but I'll just paraphrase it. So ultimately, it's just there is a river and it is flowing. The idea is to know your garden, know your water, and then let go and go with the flow. Those that try to hold on to the sides of the river, the old ways, will be ripped to shreds or something like that. Did you find it?
One day there would come a time.
One day there would come a time when the earth being ravaged and polluted, the forest being destroyed, and the birds would fall from the air. The waters would be blackened, the fish being poisoned in the streams, and the trees no longer be. Mankind, as we would know it, would all cease to exist. I don't want to get into this right now because I don't know what the exact. It's a blog, so I don't want to dismantle it and bastardize it. But look, man, you know, the Cree said also, you know, when the last tree has been cut and the last river has been poisoned, you'll realize you can't eat your fucking money. And so, you know, this is my come from. You know, I come out of the Amazon after drinking the ayahuasca, very clear on where we're at as a species and all the ancient prophecies, and there's hope. When the earth is ravaged and the animals are dying, a new tribe of people shall come unto the earth from many colors, classes, creeds, and who by their actions indeed shall make the earth green again. They will be known as the warriors of the rainbow. This is what's happening, guys. This is what's happening, right? All the commercialism, the time is up. You could try and hold on to that shit, but it's not going to be around forever. And I'm very moved from my heart. I care deeply. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me, but I care deeply about the species and about this planet. And I am here to usher in a new difference. Let's wrap this up, Jennifer. We'll have you back on anytime you want to come on.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit of what we're up against. Also, I wanted to go into the sustainability, the 5G and the Moderna mRNA vaccine and the beast system. What do you know about the connection to that as a God-fearing woman?
Well, when I just take a look at control, it's just very easy to me. Are we being provided a system of sovereignty and autonomy, or are we being provided a system of control? And so, if anything that falls into the control category, I'm not for. Yeah, and so whether it's 5G or vaccines, everyone's entitled to their position. I respect that, but this is my position.
For anybody else that wants to enforce their position on me, I have an AR-15 in the room. I don't like to use it, but I'll use it if I have to, and this is a constitutional state. And so if you are working for the state and you're getting marching orders towards this thing, just know that you will be met with extreme force. And that's not where we're headed, though. We fought all the revolutions. This is an evolution. And so I'm here to remind you that the only thing that is keeping this planet in any semblance of freedom is the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. Otherwise, we'd all be eating Soylent Green right now and on our way to the gas chamber. Think about that. They're already roaming them up in China, lining them up. So, where can people find more information about you? And you're in the community. Do you go out and socialize at all throughout the week, or are you going to Ecstatic Dance this week? Like, where can people really connect more deeply? She's such a sweet person, super intelligent, and we've just started our relationship. But I'm very interested in continuing.
Yeah, thank you. So every Sunday I'm making myself available to connect with the community at Vespa Healthy Italian Cafe. It's right on 89. And that's every Sunday, 4 to 8, between now and the election, which is August 2nd. And that was just my way to simplify it so that you don't have to try to find me or a different date or a different location or time. And I wanted to make it consistent. And it represents to me also like family dinner. We, as together as a community, we're always coming together Sunday, 4 to 8, and it's intimate to ask questions, engage, and my view in life and philosophy is participatory. So even with city council, I see the role as administrative, and for me, it's asking the question, what would our politics and community look like if 8,000 of our residents were voting on the issues rather than just 7 in city council? I do believe in the power of ingenuity and the gift of man and their spirit, and the more that we can come together, the more better solutions that we actually have. So this is just statistically speaking, and so let's capitalize on that and come together as a community. And yeah, I'm also just in between that, then just peppering with different events that I'm participating in. Another one's this evening with this woman, Samira Armstrong, who's running for mayor. And so we're putting on an event this evening and just connecting with the community as much as possible.
Where is that event tonight? Can you announce it, please? And let everybody know. And if you have a graphic, I'll send that out as well.
Well, it's at a home, so there is a little bit of a capacity, but Laura Marco's home, who is well respected in the community and is really doing her part to bring everyone together. So, you know, I thank Laura and everyone else that is, helping put these together and everything. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, awesome. And so Vespa Healthy Italian Cafe is owned by Matteo, a good friend of mine. I'm a big part of that place. We've got the liquid sunshine on the menu over there as well. And so big shout out to Matteo and Vespa Cafe. Please come when you come through Sedona, come and visit him. He's a very friendly guy. And so thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on. Do you have a website? Did you give a website or your email?
Website is jenniferforsedona.com. And that 4 is FOR. So, and then there's also YouTube to watch videos as well. That's Jennifer Strait, and Strait is spelled Strait.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
God bless you, and thank you for coming
Thank you.
over here, and we'll have you on again soon.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.